Boom, boom, boom. As a wise man once told me, his name is Felix. That's the wise man. Hey, I'm Paris Life. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time and if you are coming back, then welcome back. Go ahead, do me a huge favor and like the video, subscribe to my channel, and go ahead and turn those post notifications on. I'm trying to post 3 times a week, okay? And you do me a huge help when you do what I just asked, following, liking, subscribing, etc. And comment on this thing. Let me know if you like it, if you hate it, if you have room for improvement that you can see, please let me know. So today's video, we're gonna talk about studio etiquette. Actually, the guy holding the camera is an engineer and he mixes and masters the vast majority of my stuff. At minimum, he mixes everything I do, but he's mastered a lot of my stuff too. So shout out to Mac, Activated Productions, man. And if you need whatever, video, studio time, mixing, mastering, I will put the link / resource in the description below. All right, cool. So studio etiquette is really big. I talked a little bit about it before in a previous video when I said, so you want to go to the studio. Well, this is when you're actually at the studio. What do you want to do? I'm going to kind of follow up to my old video. So we got do's, we got don'ts. I don't know if you're going to be able to put do and don't right here. If you can, cool. If not, cool. But you got do's and don'ts. So for every do, there's a don't and vice versa. Okay, so I got 5 big talking points and I might freestyle, I'll be out next. So, big do, okay? Every engineer, they want the cash up front. They want the money up front, okay? So don't figure out how you're gonna pay for the studio session as you're at the studio or as the session's wrapping up, thinking, oh, this card doesn't work, the ATM, you know, the way my bank account is set up. No, it's not the time for that, okay? You wanna have the cash or your method of payment up front. You want to know how you're going to pay for the session. So if it's 50 an hour, 75 an hour, you know, let's say if it's 50 an hour, let's say it's 100 an hour, you got 3 hours, you got a 2-hour minimum, whatever, you got 3 hours, that's $300, have your $300 ready. You know, make sure you know if they take card, cash, Venmo, PayPal, etc. Make sure that's all taken care of so you're not at the end of the session trying to scramble, you know, because you might jeopardize the respect that they have for you, and you might hurt the relationship that way. So have everything ready up front when it comes to payment. Please do not try to figure that out at the end of the session. You annoy everybody, you help nobody. Okay, so that's the first one, do's and don'ts. So the other one is punctuality, okay? So you want to be on time for the session, okay? Be on time or expect not to get your full time once you get there, okay? So the don't for that is don't expect your engineer to give you more time because you're running late. You certainly have the right to ask, hey, can you give me a little extra time? I'm running a couple minutes late. They might be down, but you at least want to ask and be polite. And if they say no, you have to respect it. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility to get to your session on time. This is your art, your craft. You got to take it seriously for everybody else to take you seriously. So please be on time to your sessions. At the very minimum, communicate. If you're running late, traffic got bad, there was a huge accident, call the studio, call the engineer, call somebody who works there and say, hey, I'm running late, I'm not gonna be able to be there on time, and just let them know. They might understand, they might have a little extra time at the end of the session to give you like 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. As long as y'all are communicating and you're being respectful, everything should be okay. Of course, there's anomalies to everything, but for the most part, be on time, prepare to get there on time, do what you gotta do, should be okay? But don't expect those kind of favors from people. We're all working, scrambling, trying to make a living with this music stuff, this art, whatever, the media, the whole thing, okay? So the other thing is prepare your tracks for the session, your music for the session. Do prepare for the session, okay? Don't be getting your stuff ready as you're getting to the studio or as you're at the studio, okay? And that goes not just for your music, your tracks, but also your lyrics if possible. And there's a myriad of things that can happen with that. But so what we mean is, when it comes to your music, if you know you're gonna record a song, you're probably gonna need a WAV file. You're gonna need a WAV file, so you wanna make sure that your engineer preferably has that WAV file already accessible to them. You might have to email them a link, etc. But what you don't want to do is get there and be like, oh snap, I forgot my file, I don't know where it is. Now you gotta pull an MP3 off of YouTube, or you gotta go hunt down the WAV file that exists in a hard drive in somebody's basement underneath the jail cell. You don't want to do all that, okay? If you really want to avoid that kind of thing, make sure you have what you need ready to go. And if you have stems, meaning tracks that are split up, kicks, etc., snares, bass, whatever, make sure your engineer has access to them. At the very minimum, make sure you're bringing whatever your tracks are to the studio with you, whether it's on a CD, which most studios can still take care of, USB thumb drive, hard drive, solid state, or even the cloud. Make sure you have a way to get there. I recommend having some kind of physical medium just in case the studio isn't able to use their computer to get onto the internet. And even if they have internet access, they might not want to have people logging into their Google accounts, Yahoo accounts, etc., to pull random things out. So that's another good piece of studio etiquette. Just have your material ready. As far as lyrics and things, you can, if you have time, you can write at the studio. Generally, I prefer to have people come in with their stuff ready when I work with them. I have pulled people out of the recording booth before because they did not communicate with me that they were gonna write as they were getting to the studio, or they were gonna write at the studio. I like having people recording things that they have prepared. That said, some people have to write in the moment, and that's a different thing. If you can do that, you can execute it, you can kill it, that's okay. But what you don't want to do is be like, oh yeah, reading your rhymes, whatever, and you have no idea how this is supposed to go. You just wrote it, you're figuring it out. And that kind of goes back to my last video. You want to avoid that. Preparation is key, okay? So that's number 3. So the fourth one is when you are coming to the studio, do not bring your whole hood. Do not bring everybody that you ever met in your life. Grandma doesn't need to come. Your dog doesn't need to come. Your next door neighbor, your pastor, the guy that you just met outside, the chick that you just picked up down the way. Whatever the case is for whoever you are, you don't need to bring everybody. Whoever you're bringing, again, make sure that they are important to the project. They have some kind of participation in the project. Okay, what you don't want to do is bring unnecessary people who are just there just to be there, who are just kind of hanging around. In some instances that could be okay where, hey, I want to meet this person at the studio because I don't have time to meet them anywhere else. I have somebody else in the booth. I have the sound man taking care of business, so we're okay. I can chat with them for a second. That's okay if they're not getting in the way. But generally, people who come to the studio who don't have anything to do with the session get in the way, and you have unnecessary vibes. And then, actually, I'm gonna give you guys a super piece. This is what we're gonna call super game. Okay, so fire right here or something, right? Super game right here. I've talked to a few artists about this, but whenever you do a song with anybody, it's like a pop quiz, okay? Who has the rights to this song? Okay, so Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and Dr. Dre and Dr. Dre's ex-wife all walk into a studio. It's just the 4 of them. And then Dr. Dre makes a beat, and then Kanye West writes a rap to that beat, and then they record a song. As the song is being recorded, Kanye is doing this thing, and then Kim says, oh, hey Kanye, try it like this. He tries it that other way. He does it like that. They like it. The song is finished. Everybody, all 4 of them in the room are like, oh yeah, this is awesome. So who has rights to that song now? The answer to that question, if you have not guessed it already, is all 4 people now have copyright to that song. So whenever anybody's in a room as a song is getting created, they technically get copyright to that song. So it's important to either A, make sure you only have people who are really contributing to the song in the room as it's being created, and B, have agreements. Talk to people up front about this kind of stuff. Like, hey, let's talk about percentages, let's talk about split sheets, who had production credits, who had songwriting credits, who had performance credits, etc. And you always want to talk to a lawyer about that, specifically an entertainment lawyer, but be careful because sometimes people will try to get over on you with that kind of stuff. Generally, it's understood that whoever actually put work in on the beat, whoever put pen to paper, yeah, they'll get rights to it, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just verbal, sometimes it's just trust. So be very careful with that. That's another reason, a key reason why bringing unnecessary people to the studio is never a good idea. Protect yourself, okay? That's 4. My final big piece with the do's and don'ts of studio etiquette and just overall just protection for yourself and your sessions is to come clear-headed, okay? Do not come to the studio completely loaded, unable to communicate with people, belligerent, and overall not being fun to work with. I've seen this multiple times. It's just not fun to be around a drunk guy or drunk girl, somebody coming in who's on drugs, etc. That said, if you're of age where you can legally drink alcohol, you can legally smoke weed, you can smoke cigarettes, whatever, that's all fine if you're doing it in moderation and you're able to control yourself and what you're doing, and you have control over what's happening in your actions with people. What you don't want to do is feel like you have to get super loaded to come to the studio, and then at that point, how can we help you? How can anybody help you? How are you helping yourself, really? How are you able to perform at a consistent level every time without drinking? Now, there are some artists out there who absolutely need to get super loaded to do what they do. None of them are super duper famous from what I have seen, or at minimum, I would say none of those people are making a living or doing their thing. They're not making a lot of money, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Back in the day, it was cool. You could be, the guy who played piano high off of heroin and just let the label take care of everything. And nowadays, it is not the case. Nowadays, you have to wear so many hats, it just doesn't make sense to be loaded. And I will say this, the coldest killers that I have met in pretty much all of life, but especially in the music game, are sober. Even the guys who rap about smoking weed, drinking alcohol, etc., popping Zans on the tracks. There's a good amount of them who don't do that in real life, and they're cold-blooded killers. So keep that in mind. Moderation at most. Make sure you're of age. I definitely am not going to say it's ever cool to use Xanax or heroin or lean in the studio. I'm definitely not going to give that the okay. Okay, so that's basically this video, guys. So comment down below other studio etiquette you guys might have that I did not think of, and I might follow up with this with some more tips on more studio etiquette stuff. But that is this episode of Giving Out Game. Please like, subscribe again, and comment. Let me know what you think. And that's it for now. See you guys in the next one. Peace.